Hi, my name is Emily Ashcraft, and today I'm going to be going over the Arkansas Code of Ethics and having a little discussion about it. The discussion topics we will be going over today are Standards 1 through 8 of the Code of Ethics, how the Code of Ethics will dictate the way that I perform my teaching duties, how I can be sure I'm abiding by the Code of Ethics, how the Code of Ethics will dictate how I use social media, and how this will impact my own personal social media usage. Standard 1 is an educator maintains a professional relationship with each student, both in and outside of the classroom. This basically means that it's important that you act in a manner showing that you are their teacher and not their friend. And while you should maintain a friendly environment in your classroom, your students shouldn't mistake you as one of them and should naturally respect you as if you're in a higher position. This is something that will not only be done inside of the classroom, but outside as well. Meaning, if you see your students in Walmart, in the grocery store, you should still maintain that professionalism and not talk to them in such a way that they would think is inappropriate. You shouldn't cuss at them, etc. Standard 2 is an educator maintains competence regarding his or her professional practice, inclusive of professional skills, ethical behavior, skills, knowledge, dispositions, and responsibilities relating to his or her organizational position. This basically means that your disposition as a teacher is to be a role model that you would wish your child's teacher would be to your own child. Your class will always be watching their teacher. They'll reflect their actions on the way that you act. So if you act like a mean person, they're going to reflect that way, and they're probably going to act like that on the playground or out in the real world. Standard 3 says an educator honestly fulfills reporting obligations associated with professional practices. This means that we as teachers are considered mandated reporters. This basically means that if you see or observe anything that concerns the safety or well-being of a student, that you're required to report it. This includes watching a child's safety be put in jeopardy, overhearing a child talk about harming themselves or others, or observing multiple warning signs that a child's life or safety is jeopardized. Standard 4 states that an educator entrusted with public funds and property, including school-sponsored activity funds, honors that trust with honest and responsible stewardship. You should treat school and community-funded objects like they're your own, and you should respect the property and treat it well. If you're given money to handle, you should treat it with respect. Remember that the money isn't yours, and you shouldn't treat it like it is. In no circumstance should you use or spend any of the money unless you're taking it for its intended and authorized purpose. Standard 5 says an educator maintains integrity regarding the acceptance of any gratitude, gift, compensation, or favor that might impair or appear to influence professional decisions or actions, and shall refrain from using the educator's position for personal gain. Accepting gifts is okay, but to an extent. Examples of gifts that are okay include but are not limited to handwritten letters, drawings, flowers that a student may have picked from outside, t-shirts, small things like that. Examples of gifts that are not okay include but are not limited to dishwashers, cars, animals, etc. Also, illegal substances, alcohol, things like that. Standard 6 says an educator keeps in confidence secure standardized test materials and results and maintains integrity regarding test administration procedures. Testing administrators are required to keep all testing materials locked up in file cabinets, rooms, etc. And as a teacher, you should keep all of the students' information locked away and it shouldn't be shared, such as test scores, that kind of jazz. This kind of goes along with the HIPAA law. Like I said in this slide here, it's kind of the same thing. You wouldn't share that stuff. You wouldn't share health records, so don't share any testing stuff. Standard 7 is kind of similar. An educator maintains the confidentiality of information about students and colleagues obtained in the course of the educator's professional services that is protected under state law or regulations or the written policies of the educator's professional purpose as allowed or required by law or regulations. Similarly to the HIPAA laws, your colleagues and students should trust you with their information such as grades, home addresses, emails, etc. Standard 8 is a pretty long one. As an educator, while on school premises or at a school-sponsored activities involving students, you should refrain from using, possessing, and or being under the influence of alcohol or unauthorized drugs or substances, and or possessing items prohibited by law. Don't be drinking on the playground at school. Don't drink on a field trip, stuff like that. Possessing or using tobacco or tobacco-related products, e-cigarettes, e-liquid, or vapor products. You can't take your smoke break on your lunch. You can't take a smoke break at all during the day. Just don't smoke at school. If you choose to do that at home, that's your own business, but don't use that or have it at school. Kind of the same rules as if you were a student at school. Abusing and misusing prescription medications or other authorized substances as evidenced by impairment while on school premises or at school sponsored activities involving students. If you have surgery, you're on painkillers, anything of that sort, just don't abuse that while you're at school. Keep it professional and keep that outside of the classroom. Alright, now we're going on to the discussion questions. How will the Code of Ethics dictate the way that I perform my teaching duties, and how can I be sure that I'm abiding by the Code of Ethics? The Code of Ethics dictates the way that I as a teacher will do things, and it gives me kind of a set of standards to go by and a set of rules to follow. I was a cheerleader in high school, and we had a long list of things that we couldn't do, couldn't boast, this and that. So it's kind of similar to that in a way. It gives me just kind of things to go by and things that I know not to do and stuff like that. I would like to be a by the book teacher, and I want to do things the correct way, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I won't personalize the way I teach. I remind myself daily of these codes and implement them, and that's how I'll successfully abide by them. Code of Ethics dictate how I use my social media personally, and how will this impact my own social media usage. Everything I post on social media, I'm going to think about 4 times before I post it. If it's not appropriate for children, it's not appropriate for me to post it on social media. I kind of like to say, if I wouldn't show it to my pastor, I wouldn't post it on social media. And that's just kind of how you should think posting anything on social media. Don't post anything that could potentially get you fired. Don't post anything that's against the Code of Ethics. Just don't post it. This is my works cited page. All of my information is from the Code of Ethics for Arkansas Educators, Arkansas Department of Education Division in Elementary Secondary Education. But that's really it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.